Hello everyone, I am Josh and welcome to this Sims 4 house building video. So today I am building an interesting Victorian home that is quite unique, and you'll see why in a moment. So this house has 4 bedrooms and 3.5 bathrooms and is probably one of the most bizarre shaped houses I've ever built in The Sims 4. So as you can see here, what I was trying to do is kind of make it wrap around that curved driveway, which was kind of the main idea I had. And I also kind of saw in my mind that I wanted it to be very lush and like have a bunch of trees around it and like really almost overgrown landscaping, which is kind of the idea I had. So that's what I went with, and you'll see it actually turns out pretty cool. And it's definitely a very interesting house and very unique. So there's like a lot of weird shaped rooms and a bunch of turrets and stuff, but it looks really cool in the end, so I'm happy with the way it turned out. So as you can see here, the house is already quite weirdly shaped, and there's also a couple of balconies already, and you know, it just was kind of random. I was just building whatever I thought kind of looked good. I put this here and that there, and you know, whatever, pretty much. So there was really no plan behind this one like my last couple of houses, so definitely interesting. So you can see there the front is kind of done, at least the shape of it is, and you can see I'm putting some towers on here. One of those towers is 4 stories tall, and it's actually opened up all the way down to the first floor. So like if you're in the first floor entrance and like you're in first person mode or something, you can look up that turret like all the way up 4 stories, which is kind of cool. So I thought that was a neat thing. And here you can see I'm messing around with the roof, which is kind of difficult because it's partly on a diagonal, so it was really difficult. I think I expand the house a little bit to make the roofing easier. Yeah, right here I kind of expand that area just so I'm able to actually apply a roof that looks somewhat decent. And it still looks a little messy in the end, as you can see, because it's kind of all over the place, but you know, I tried my best there. And also this part here, I ended up getting rid of the diagonal because it just wasn't working. I couldn't get a roof to look good with that angled wall there, so I got rid of it in the end. And one thing I noticed when I watched back my last house build, this is kind of going off topic, I know, but it's funny. One thing I noticed when I watched my last house build, I literally said the word cool in pretty much every single sentence, which I did not realize I was doing that when I was recording it, so it's a little embarrassing, so I'm sorry about that. I'm trying not to do that ever again, because it's kind of funny to watch. Like, you can just try to count the amount of times I say cool, and if any of you actually do that, that would be pretty amazing. So if any of you go back and watch my last house building, count how many times I say cool, that would be pretty, well, cool. Yeah, so anyway, you can see here, I'm putting this turret on, and with the roof of the turret on, so there's no hexagonal or octagonal roofs in The Sims 4, so I had to just kind of put together a whole bunch of hipped roofs, then just kind of put some straight ones and some angled ones and just like whatever, just to kind of make it look right. It was a little annoying, but it looks okay. And here you can see I started putting some trim on. Now all the trim on the house, I started off making it white and I later changed it to like a dark brown, but it looks pretty good. It's kind of more of a darker color scheme on the outside. It's kind of like an older styled house. At least that's what I was going with for this house, is I kind of wanted it to be kind of like older and, you know, I don't even know, it's just like more eclectic. That's not really the right word, is it? I don't know. It's kind of hodgepodge, I guess. But it's kind of cool. You know, it's definitely unique. I actually love houses like this. I think I did one that was kind of similar to this a while ago. I can't remember though. Oh yeah, I did in The Sims 3. It was, what was the name? Ocean View Villa, that's right. That was back in August, I think. And that one was kind of a funky house, more on the inside than the outside, but there's like a bunch of turrets on that too. And like the floor plan was bizarre because you had to go up like one staircase to get to one half of the second floor and a different staircase to get to the other half. You know, that kind of house. Which I thought was pretty funny. Not really funny, but it was kind of cool when it's just like something that doesn't make sense, but just for the sake of not making sense. I don't know. This house is kind of that way. It's, you know, the floor plan doesn't entirely make sense. It's a little kind of crazy. The shape is kind of crazy. I mean, it's obviously not the most logical thing, but it just looks cool. I don't know. That's just kind of like this style of house. That's just kind of all over the place and a little hodgepodge. Right now, it actually looks really good if I had left the trim white. You know, that's one way I could have left it. I guess if you download the house, you could change the colors on the outside, and it'd probably still look really good. But you can see here, I'm changing it all to dark brown now, and I was going to do a green roof, but I decided not to. I think I go with a brown roof or a black roof or something like that. Something a little bit more normal, because the dark green was kind of cool, but it just didn't look that great. I also changed out all the columns and the fences because the ones I have now don't actually come in the same dark brown that the trim is, which is a little irritating, but I was able to fix it up. And right now you can see I think there's 3 turrets in the house right now, but I do add a 4th one later on. I think it's much later on, but still, there are going to be 4 turrets on this house, which is kind of crazy. And right here I'm putting a whole bunch of really dark siding on, which after a while I realized it didn't look that good, so I ended up changing it to a much lighter colored siding, so don't worry about the dark siding, because I know it doesn't look that great now, but it does look much better when I put the lighter siding on. You can see here I'm just changing up all the columns and putting those all about, kind of on all the angles and stuff, just to add a bit of extra detail. I love using the columns as kind of trim pieces and stuff. It looks really cool. And here I'm changing out the fencing. I'm going for a darker fencing right there, just so it looks a little bit better, because the white fencing that I have now doesn't actually come in a matching color, which is really irritating. I don't know why it doesn't, I guess just to be annoying, but I had to use a different one, so it's all good in the end though. And here you can see I'm putting some windows on this main turret. I actually change out the lower windows, but the upper ones on the turrets actually stay those same windows, and I put some more detailed windows in the lower turrets, or the lower parts of the turrets anyway. And yeah, so more windows, and I'm going to change the foundation, there we go. And also, I'm going to put a bunch of trees and like huge amounts of flowers. I mean, I don't think there's any open grass on the lot, except for like by the back door where there's a pathway. But otherwise, it's just like covered in trees and plants, and it just looks so cool. I don't know. I just love the look of that. It kind of has like a fairy tale-ish look to it, and like when I was taking the screenshots in the house, like whenever you looked out the windows, you just saw like a bunch of plants and trees and stuff, and even though the house is pretty close to the street in some cases, you don't really see it because there's just so much stuff there. And my vision before I started building it was to have this kind of triangle here. So like the driveway would wrap around there and you'd have that triangle in the center, which you can see I just put a whole bunch of plants in. So that looks really cool. And you can see I'm here putting in some plants there by the front of the house. I do kind of half the landscaping now and then half later, so that's pretty typical of me. And also a tree just kind of coming out of the middle of the driveway, which probably is not ideal if you actually wanted to put a car in there, but it looked okay, because like, I guess in The Sims 4, since there's no functional cars, it would be more of just like a walkway as opposed to a proper driveway. And anyway, you can see I changed all the colors on the house, so there's a much lighter siding now, and the roof is not green anymore, it's now a brown color, so it looks quite a bit better. And I'm also putting on a bunch of flower boxes. I mean, this house has so many flower boxes, it's kind of crazy. I think all the turrets have flower boxes on them, except for the largest one on the far right. And I put some flower boxes together to make some ivy, which I've done in the past, which looks really cool, and I wrap it around the main turret in the front. I put a bunch of ivy on that. Not real ivy, obviously. Although, one thing I'm excited about is that in The Sims 4 Get Together, they're actually going to have real ivy. So I won't have to do that silly thing with the flower boxes anymore, so that's pretty exciting. But that's coming out pretty soon, too. I think it should be, like, the day Sims 4 Get Together should come out the day after this video goes up or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, we're working on the floor plan now, so as you can see, the shape of the house is completely bizarre, so it was a little challenging to get the floor plan to work properly. So that's the living room there where I just put the windows in. That's the dining room there, which is next to the living room. And there's a fireplace in the living room, and also there's the master bathroom and bedroom I just put in, and there's the kitchen in the back of the house. There's a little half bathroom next to that. So yes, the master bedroom and bathroom is on the first floor, which is kind of odd, but I don't know, I just fit in there well. And then on the second floor, you can see those stairs there are going to lead up to the third floor, and I just walled in a bathroom and the bedroom there. There's another bedroom, and there's going to be the study, which could be a bedroom too, so technically this house could have 5 bedrooms, but I only have 4 as bedrooms, so if you really want to fit more Sims in here, you could convert the study into a small bedroom or something, so that works out well too. And on the top there is kind of like an artist's loft, so there's a bunch of canvases and like an art easel and stuff, which is kind of cool, so I think that turned out nicely. And here I'm just putting a bunch more windows around the place. I think I'm not done with windows yet, but I'm kind of close. And anyway, here we're back to landscaping, because why not? So I'm putting a bunch of plants around the place. I love these little low flowers you can see I'm putting in here, and there's some more bushes. some more ferns and a bunch of stuff really around the place. There's another tree I just put in, and just fixing up the pathway so it actually leads to the front steps, and it all looks pretty good. And here I'm just adding in a bit of terrain paint. Again, I'm going to come back near the end and finish the landscaping because I only did about half of it now, so yeah. And right here I'm putting on some of the ivy using the flower boxes, so you can see that kind of wraps around the turret there, which I thought looked pretty cool. And there you go, just filling it in, and I really love the look of it. It just looks so cool, as you can see there. You know, it makes the house look a little bit more rustic in a way, and the stone on the turrets helps with that too. It definitely makes it look a lot more rustic, kind of. It looks like a really old house, it really does, which I thought was pretty cool. And out here I'm putting a little back porch out off the kitchen, so that's kind of the back door there. And there's not really a backyard, but, you know, there's a back step that leads out, so I guess that's pretty nice. There's a pathway kind of like around that pond there. As you can see, that's not part of the lot, so I guess like the stairs kind of walk out to that, so I guess that's pretty nice. And right here you can see I'm putting in another turret. This is the final one here, which is kind of off the hallway, so like it adds a bit more light into the hallway on the second floor, so I guess that helps a bit. And there you go, so you can see a nice secondary turret there that kind of just finishes off that corner of the house, because I felt like from the back the house didn't look like that crazy, so I thought it looked better with the turret. And right here I'm putting in some stairs. Those are nice to have, and just touching up the fence there, getting some railings on the stairs, which is nice. And yeah, and right about now I'm just just finishing up that wall coverings or whatever. Anyway, so we're done with all those little nitty-gritty details, I think. So we're probably going to move on to the interior soon, except, oh, right here, I'm putting on a trellis there for kind of that third floor rooftop patio thing. I don't even really know what to describe it as, but it looks pretty cool. So there you go. There's a thing there on the third floor. And, oh, more ivy. Yep, of course, more ivy. Just down that side of the house there. And now, I don't even know what I'm doing. Just looking at the house, I guess. Oh, another tree, of course. Plenty of trees. And now I believe we're going to be moving on to some of the porches. Wow, like my mind is blanking. Some porches and stuff. So yeah. And yeah, so now moving on to the interior finally. So you can see that I put some of that classic black and white marble flooring, which I use in quite a few of my builds, which is kind of interesting. So now I'm going to be putting in a piano, of course. You know, I love pianos in my Sims houses. I don't know why. There's something about it that's just really nice. So I put one in the dining room because there really wasn't any other place for me to fit in a piano, so that was kind of unfortunate. And there on the third floor, you can see it just put some kind of like overlooking window things with kind of a railing there. So if you're on the third floor, whatever. If you're on the third floor, you can kind of, or your Sims can kind of look over the edge all the way down to the first floor, which is kind of cool. So you'll see that more when we move to the third floor near the end. And right here, I'm working on the living room, so you can see I have a nice fireplace, a couple couches, and a couple green chairs. And here I'm just putting in a side table and a couple potted plants, or actually 4 potted plants. So quite a few plants. And it is kind of a small, weirdly shaped room, so it's a little hard to navigate. So I hope Sims can actually fit around and kind of get to those couches, even though those chairs are kind of in the way. I don't know, I haven't play tested this house, even though I probably should have, because there's also a bathroom on the second floor that's a little cramped, and I don't know if it's entirely usable. But yeah, so I guess if something doesn't work, then you'll probably just have to figure out a way to fix it. I'm sorry. Anyway, right here I'm putting in some curtains, a TV, and another little plant there, of course. You can never have enough plants. And there's some shelves there just next to the fireplace, just for some random details. So you can see I put some tissues, books, and little pictures of butterflies. And putting in a few more details around the place. There's a mirror off to the side there. And yeah, so that's pretty much the living room done. And now moving on to the adjacent dining room, which is also a very weird shape. As you can see, it's also got the piano in it, which is pretty nice. And we got a 6-seat dining table, a couple chandeliers, and here I'm just searching for a painting. There we go, and a little thing to put in the living room. Also got some nice purple flowers there on the dining room table, and I'm getting some curtains in and changing the wall color, I believe. It's a slightly darker color in the dining room. And I'm also getting a little china cabinet in just so it looks kind of nice in the corner there. And I'm also going to put a chair, so if someone wants to sit down and listen to another Sim play the piano, they can do that. And yeah, so that's pretty much the dining room done. We're putting some lighting here in the hallway, and I'm also putting a little side table there off where the front door is, so I guess you could put some random things there, although I kind of filled it up. So yeah. Anyway, there's a couple chairs in the turret, so that's the 4-story turret. So yeah, you can see here it goes all the way up, which is kind of insane. Very tall. I'm not sure how realistic that is, but it's still pretty cool anyway. And you can see that it's kind of open areas that open up to the 3rd floor from the turret, so I don't know if you saw this briefly. Anyway, here I'm putting in some windows to the kitchen and also a little door there that leads out to the back porch, and our little window there, and some flower boxes, of course, plenty of flower boxes on this house. Also, just changing the roof up over here, that's interesting. So, also another little window up there, looks all good and jolly, and yeah. So now we're moving on to putting in some, I don't even know what I'm doing, just like clicking a bunch of rooms. Oh, I'm putting some stuff here in the kitchen. So, yes, kitchen. It's kind of far away from the dining room. It's like all the way down the hallway. So in real life, that would be a little inconvenient, but it still is okay. And it's a black and white color scheme. As you can see, it's got that marble flooring, and it has a nice clean white wallpaper and a bunch of cabinets which are black, and there's the sink. I also put a small island in, so I guess Sims can prepare things on there, I guess. Yeah, so anyway, I really love those those three arched windows in the back of the kitchen. I think they look really cool, actually. I mean, it's a very small thing, but like when you're in the kitchen in first person, you can like see out those windows. Like there's like a pond out in the back there, which looks really nice. And here I'm just putting in a little coat rack and a little shoe rack, and also a nice little runner down the hallway there. And I'm also going to put a few more details in the kitchen, of course, just around the place. I'm going to get some window coverings, I believe. Yep, there we go. Just so, you know, adds a bit of detail to the house. And some plates on the wall there in the kitchen, some pots and pans over that back door, and a few things just to make it look nice and, you know, lived in. And right here is the master bedroom, which is kind of interesting. It's on the 1st floor. I also added that little small area there with an archway to it, so it's kind of separated from the hallway that leads to the kitchen, but it's still kind of a weird place, but it's nice. I mean, it has its own little balcony that looks out to the front garden, so I guess that's kind of nice. And here you can see it's got an interesting red color scheme as well, which I thought was unique. I don't tend to do red/cream rooms, I guess. It's kind of a weird pattern. It's kind of like red and peach, I guess. And here I've decided to stop doing the master bedroom and put some outdoor lighting on the house, because why not just do that in the middle of a build? So yeah, there's some outdoor lighting. It looks nice at night now. And oh, more lighting in the turrets, there you go. Okay, now we're back in the master bedroom and putting some curtains on the windows to make it look nice. A little plant there. And there's also a nice bay window, which looks like out really close to the street, but there's so many plants in front of it that it's kind of a little bit secluded, which I thought was kind of cool. And it's kind of a small room, as many of the rooms in this house are. There's not really any big rooms in this house. You'll see they're all pretty small. I think the master bedroom might be the 2nd largest bedroom in the house, because the largest one doesn't have an ensuite, so that's why I made this the master. And yeah, so here I'm doing the ensuite. As you can see, we have a tub shower, sink, toilet. There's also a nice mirror there. It all looks pretty good and jolly, so there you go. Pretty nice master bathroom. And now we're just going to do the small little half bathroom that's off the hallway. Just, you know, it's nice to have that in case a guest or something needs to use the bathroom, you know, so that's there for convenience purposes. And here I'm just putting in some lighting and some wallpaper and some stuff in the hallway, which is on the 2nd floor, and also put a few things in the 3rd floor room. So this bathroom here is the weird bathroom that really is cramped, and I'm not entirely sure if it works. I mean, I don't think the toilet works. I hope it does, but I'm not 100% sure on that because the door is kind of there. So I guess that's something for you to find out. Yeah, so that toilet is kind of in a weird nook, but I guess we'll see how that works out. Anyway, now I'm going to do the, I think the study. So this here was going to be a bedroom, but it's so small, I thought it just might as well be a study because, you know, it's a little teeny narrow room, which I thought would be kind of a weird shape for a bedroom, though. I guess you could put like a kid's room in there with like a single bed or something, but I decided to make it a study. Since there was no computer in the house anyway, it seemed like a good move. So there you go, a little sitting area, a nice lamp on that table, a few plants, nice painting, a mirror, all that good stuff, you know. It's all good and jolly, so that's pretty nice. And I also just put a little bird bath out the front there, which I thought was kind of neat. I love bird baths sometimes in The Sims. Don't tend to use them enough though. So, well, yeah, whatever. So now we're moving on to the kids' bedroom, which is kind of cool. It's a nice little bedroom that has, you know, some furniture in it. It doesn't have any windows, which is kind of depressing, but I guess it's alright. I mean, it's a kid's room, so it's not like the biggest... Well, actually, that's kind of sad. The kids should have some windows, but, you know, it's okay. So I have some nice posters on the wall there, and, you know, I got some stuff. I don't even know what I'm trying to do here with this light outside, but I'm trying to put it on that post. Anyway, back to the kids' room, putting a little lamp there, and also I'm going to put some toys around the place, which will be nice. Also had to put a grandfather clock downstairs there for some reason. Oh, also there's a nice little toy dinosaur, big stuffed animal dinosaur. Actually, I did say little, it's not little. And yeah, putting a few details around the place, some toys here and there, and also a nice little rug on the floor, so that's taken care of. And I'm also doing the bathroom here, so it's an ensuite bathroom, which is kind of nice. It's the same size as the other bathroom, though it's definitely usable because there's nothing really squished into any corners or anything because the door's in a different place, so it works a bit better. Also, I'm putting in some more window boxes, so there's plenty of those. Flower boxes, window boxes, there's no such thing as a window box. Anyway, now I'm moving on to the first guest bedroom, which is kind of a nice room. I think it's the biggest bedroom in the house, and it has a kind of green-yellow color scheme, which is kind of nice. So you got this nice double bed in here. I got all pictures of some roosters, because why not? And there's a nice dresser, and also putting in a couple chairs there in the turret, which looks pretty neat. And there's a nice bookshelf as well. I actually didn't put too many bookshelves in this house, which is a fun fact, because usually I put way too many bookshelves in my houses, so I think that's the only bedroom with a bookshelf, so that's pretty good. And right here is the final bedroom, which does not have a second end table because I couldn't fit it in, so that's a little unfortunate, but it does have this huge 2-story turret, which is kind of cool. Well, it's in the huge 2-story turret, so that's pretty neat. It's got a tall ceiling, so that looks pretty grand. And here I'm going to put a little dresser in, and also just put a little chair in the corner there. Of course, a nice blue lamp next to it, just some details around the place. Got a nice blue color scheme going on in here, as you can see. And there's a painting and a few details and a rug. And so yeah, that's pretty much that bedroom done. Now moving on to the final room in the house, I believe, which is the kind of artist's loft on the 3rd floor. So you can see I have a bunch of painting materials, and I'm also going to put an easel in, of course, because that's like the main function of the room. So there's the easel, and you can kind of see it looks over that turret, which is kind of cool. And here's the little outdoor area that is off that room on the 3rd floor. It's kind of on the roof, which is pretty cool. It has a nice trellis above it. So yeah, so we're done with the inside of the house now, so now I'm going to finish up the landscaping, which just basically involves putting a whole bunch of flowers and bushes everywhere. So you can see that here, I'm putting a whole bunch of flowers around the place. Some ferns, some rocks. I'm going to put some more flowers, of course. Flowers everywhere. There's not really any open grass, which was the intention, so I think it looks pretty cool. And anyway, in The Sims 4, there's not anything you can really do outside, so you know, it doesn't really matter. There's no empty space, and there's pretty much a park like right next door, so you know, it works out fine. And right here I'm putting in some more plants, of course, some little bushes and some long grasses and a whole bunch of stuff. Some more ferns, some more rocks, some more flowers. Just a whole bunch of stuff, makes it look really nice and lush, and I just love the look of it. I don't know, it just looks so good with this house. It's just, I don't know, it looks like almost fairy tale-esque, like really picturesque. That's why I called it that. Yeah, so anyway, finishing up the terrain paint. We're almost done with this house build, and I hope you enjoyed. There's some more house builds on my channel I hope you check out. Anyway, we're almost done. There's going to be some screenshots as well, and I hope to see you next time. Bye, everyone. Have a great day.